What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday, and this week we're going to talk about the Earthrise trailer, and we'll push Toy World back to next week. We'll do past, present, future of Toy World next week. I've already got a lot of that information together. Shout out to Andy. He sent some to me. I've already gathered the pictures. I just need to make the video. But then this trailer dropped, so we'll go ahead and discuss the trailer. And next week we might not discuss Toy World either if something else drops that seems to be more kind of poignant. Before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. Last week a lot of people were surprised at how much there was. I don't know why. The week before I told you there was going to be a lot the following week. And that wraps up the house cleaning for the Zeta video. The only other videos that need my attention are the Stormtrooper from the Mandalorian with the flamethrower. People were saying his tank is upside down. I get it. If I don't nerd that way, that's not my thing. Like, I know certain people are like, well, that's not the right Vader. That's the episode 6 Vader episode. I'm be honest with you, I probably couldn't pick them out of a lineup, the differences. I just don't zero in on little things like that. But you're absolutely right, and they should have done it right. So if that's a thing for you, definitely take that in stride. And lastly, the 4 Dummies bit. So we do have to talk about that a little bit. There was a number of people that went into their closet and grabbed their superhero cape and put it on, and we're gonna fight the good fight for all the people that sent pictures to us for us to pick apart, critique, scrutinize, or praise. Let me be very clear. I respect everybody that sent in submissions and had the guts to do it far more than anything that anyone could say when they didn't submit anything. The video that I put out to take submissions, I specifically said in it, make sure that you have a tough skin because we are not going to bite our tongues. Otherwise, what's the point? The people that get it, get it. The people that submitted, they get it. The people that cried in the comments, you don't get it. And I wouldn't expect you to. It's not made for you. The people that submitted wouldn't respect us if we didn't give our honest opinion about it. That's what makes us respect them. And that's how that relationship works. That being said, we have a ton more of those to get into. We have another one this month, and then I'll probably do one every month for the foreseeable future until people get tired of it or don't want to see it anymore, and in which case we'll just do it on our own and put it on Patreon. But most people seem to enjoy it. So now we can get into today's discussion. Last time that we had the Transformers Netflix show, I was kind of hot and cold on it. I think they did a number of things right. I think they did a number of things wrong. What I think they did right was set a tone and a vibe and take it serious. And what I think that they did wrong was they skipped over story and they kind of skimpied out on the voice acting or at least performance. Because they could be great voice actors and just had bad directors or people looking for poor performance out of them, not knowing what they wanted. So you can't necessarily put it on the actors. But I think the show had merit. We're not going to go too much into the kind of creative side of it, the companies involved. We've done that before. We've talked about all the production studios that are working on this to make this for Netflix where it's licensed. If you know Nerd Rage, if you know me, you know that I get lost in licenses and who owns what and who can distribute what and how that all breaks down and what is a stream worth. I'm in that zone. But we've done it before here, so we're not going to do it today. Today we're going to kind of just jump right into the trailer. We'll give a breakdown. I'll give some thoughts about what I think it might be leading towards in the future. I'll give you what I hope that they correct or make improvements on, and we'll go from there. So without any further ado, so let's get into it. And the trailer opens up with a team of Autobots seemingly captured by Double Dealer. They're in their electronic shackles, and there's no escape. Even there's a ton of them. But it's all good, right? The question is, who are they being led to? And the answer seems to be the Quintessons. I think that all of us should be prepared, and I think that it's actually the right decision to be prepared for this not to stick to any sort of continuity that you're used to. And I think that's important. I remember Todd McFarlane once said that the worst thing that you can do as an IP owner is continue to tell the same story over and over again. There has to be some reimagining, but you have to capture the soul. That's kind of the message I've been preaching from day one. So I think we should prepare ourselves for these Quintessons not to be or play the same role as the Quintessons from G1. The question is, what role do they play? And as long as they make that something interesting, I think that's just fine. We get to see a handful of other Autobots: Red Alert, Elita 1, Jetfire, Skyfire, Macross Guy, whatever you want to call them. And even there's a line later on at the end that at least one of us can fly, which was a nice little nod both to the G1 and to the kind of discussions that fans have had around the table for years, right? About how the Autobots are kind of at this disadvantage due to their inability to fly outside of a handful of episodes. We see Megatron is hunting for the Ark that we were kind of turned on to from the first season. And we know that the Ark, or I think we know that the Ark is becoming a Titan, I think, in whatever the Beast Wars thing is going to be. So obviously that's going to play a bigger role, starting to lay that breadcrumb trail, which looks like a little bit of pre-planning to me. So I dig that. And there's not a lot of dialogue in this trailer, and that could be for a number of reasons. It could be because the voice acting wasn't very good, but it could also be that they're really trying to make a point to draw on only the super important and poignant lines from the show to include in the trailer. And one of those lines is, the future has not yet been written, or something along those lines. And I think that's going to play a big part in all of this, but I will circle back to that at some point. We see Optimus and Bumblebee walking through some sort of portal. That portal might tie back into what I was just talking about, but also we see what looks to me like, and I don't know. Look, I never reviewed any of the Earthrise stuff, I don't think, or maybe one here or there. I don't know much about the toys from the line, etc., but I would be lying to you if I didn't say it kind of looks like he's wearing Roller as a backpack here, which I don't hate. And it's Silver Roller, right? Which is interesting to me. But they are headed towards this portal. Where does the portal go? Nobody knows. But perhaps it's all interconnected. Perhaps it's not. We get to see what looks like a Nemesis Prime. I would prefer they make this its own character. I had my fill of Angry Evil Prime from that live action movie that wasn't good. I don't remember which one it was. It was 4 or 5. 5, I think. Yeah, it was 5. The Last Night. More like The Long Night, am I right? But I much prefer this kind of being its own entity and give it its own character, rather than have it be some sort of Prime gone wrong. You see Megs and Ops, or more like Megs and Megs' Ops, if you know what I'm saying, brawling it out a little bit, and what seems to be some flashbacks to Megatron's earlier days. Now, this I like to see because I'm hoping that some of the story, some of the nuts and bolts, some of the heart and soul of this universe that they're building along this trilogy is fleshed out a bit more. Anytime you do a 3-part story, the second one is supposed to be the one that fleshes it out. Actually, anytime you do a multi-part story, the second one's supposed to be the one that fleshes this out. Some do it better than others. You've got your Empire Strikes Back, you've got your Aliens, your Terminator 2s, your Godfather 2s, and then some do it terribly and make you not want to watch the first one ever again because the second one is so god-awful. But I'm hoping that this is an indicator that something is coming in regards to kind of putting some meat on these bones. We also see Megatron scrapping it out with another guy, and we hear the line, "Take the Matrix," and the reveal seems to be Galvatron. And this is what I am kind of getting at with folks, to just be ready for this not to necessarily be the same continuity you're used to. Mentally prepare yourself. It doesn't mean that it's bad. Megatron and Galvatron have coexisted in other continuities, IDW, the Marvel stuff even, and done well. So don't write it off if it isn't what you know. There have been some interesting twists on this in the past. That doesn't mean that this will be one, but it's something worth noting. And it could also tie into the larger point, which we're going to kind of discuss when we wrap this up. But speaking of larger points, we get to see Unicron. This is obviously, in my opinion, a little give back to the folks that backed it. The crowdfunding bit might as well make it even more worth your while. It's kind of the inverse of the Razor Crest at this point, and I think it's a smart choice as long as it doesn't get out of control. But this show is at somewhat of a disadvantage creatively in regard to us because we know what's next, right? Kingdom is next. So the show is behind the toys, and a lot of the signs that are being dropped in this are leading me in a specific direction. Now let's talk about that. So let me tell you, I think that all of the stuff that has to do with portals and the future is not clear and multiple, representations of a character, perhaps Galvatron and Megatron sharing the same space, Unicron coming out, I think all of this is leading into Kingdom, into some way to sort of, without reimagining, cross-pollinate what we have previously known as different universes, right? The Beast Wars universe, the G1 universe, I know that they cross over, don't bore me with it, you know what I mean. The Armada stuff, all of these are kind of different universes. The IDW universe is a different universe, the Marvel Comics is a different universe, they're all different Transformer universes, and what I think this is trying to do is what many other companies have done in the past. DC has done it twice now, I think. Marvel has done it, is try to slam all of these characters into one universe. And this isn't even the first time that Transformers has done it. IDW has done it without any explanation. They just have these characters present. Yeah, Rhinox is there. What of it? And I think it's the smart way to go because a lot of these characters are endearing to people, and there are even characters outside of G1 G1 that feel endearing to G1 fans. The DJD is a prime example. The Wreckers are a prime example. A lot of the Lost Light crew, the Scavengers, prime examples. And if you bring those, we did a whole video on it here, retroing G1, making characters who are not part of G1 and reimagining them as G1. If you, or they rather, Hasbro in this circumstance, are able to collide all of that in a way that makes sense and is rewarding and fulfilling to the fans, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. I think they probably should have done it a long time ago, and I'm excited for those folks that need that. I think it's smart. It's not my bag. I don't care necessarily, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate exactly what it may do for that fandom. I get it. But that's my theory on where it's headed. That's how Kingdom will make sense when they do that for the 3rd season. Obviously, we already talked about creatively they're at a disadvantage because we as fans already know what's coming next due to the toys. What I hope that they do is really flesh out some of the story, make you care a little bit more about the characters. We know that they can do action. They did a lot of it in season 1. I don't need as much action in season 2 as much as I need them to make me care about the characters. Connect them to one another, connect them to the world, and explain the world to me. And you might have a little sleeper hit on your hands. This is the time to do it. If it's not done here, it won't be done at all. Mark my words on it. But I'm optimistic. I'm always looking on the bright side of shit. You know what I mean? That's what people say about me. Bobby, yeah, you know Bobby, always looking at the bright side of stuff. Oh, you're talking about Bobby Skullface? Yeah, I know the guy. So I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be checking it out, and then we'll come back here and recap it once it's all said and done and kind of give a review of it. You guys be safe out there. Make sure you're staying mentally healthy as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Take care.